A flipped classroom, a reformed way to learn. What is a flipped classroom? Basically, a flipped classroom is turning education on its head. It is taking the homework and swapping it with the in-class lecture. You're sending the students home with the lecture or giving them an access point, some reading content, some hands-on visual things at home they can use with technology at home, and even handouts. That's just as effective. And then coming to class with questions and inquiry. What does this mean? How does this work? What do we do with this? How do we apply this in the class? Then you create an activity for the students. Students will have their questions answered when they come back to class so that there's no loss of understanding. Traditional classroom, you have your lecture and then you have your homework. Students will go home and they don't have that, connection with the teacher. Teacher is stuck standing in front of the classroom, not able to engage in every student because they're forced to give this lecture. Students are required to do more independent practice at home, losing a lot of that connection. Whereas with the flipped classroom, students are kind of understanding what's already going on. And then you say, okay, what you learned at home, guess what? We're going to apply that in the classroom. How do we use that problem-based solving and inquiry-based learning in the classroom right now? It gives definitely more time with one-on-one, creates a stronger relationship with the students and teacher. The teacher gets to ask questions, personal, like, how did you apply this into your world? How do you bring this back home? And how are you going to bring it back to the class? Some of the classroom standard versus flipped classroom, one of the biggest thing is at-home reading and in-class hands-on with the lesson and is 90% of the time. You've got 90% of the students are going to be hands-on, learning at that pace. The execution of the lesson makes a big difference versus verbal talk, and there's no real connection. They're not really connecting it because they're having to imagine what you're saying or see the video. They're not really physically doing it themselves. Some examples, the theoretical framework. So this was provided by Jeremy F. Strayer of Ohio State University. You have your flipped classroom, and then the uses is educational technology. You're going to use all these Web 2.0 tools that we have lots of access to, free tools that students can use on their phone, their tablets, their one-on-one, the smartboard, their computers at home, at the library. And then through the flipped classroom, it creates an opportunity for learning through the activity. What is the physical essence, So then these influences create a learning environment in the classroom. So they're able to bring that back. Something really important is how does it happen? Teachers create 3 videos a week, for example. Students watch 5 to 7 minute videos at home or in school if they don't have the internet access, of course. Class time was spent doing labs or active activities to illustrate the concept. So here's how the concept works through a video. Now, you mimic that yourself. The students will mimic that video in the classroom and take it a step further. How could they improve upon what they just watched? How are schools using their flipped in the classrooms now? Currently, there are 15 schools around the country using classrooms around the country. This source came from edumimic.com. ACSD states that, indeed, there are reasons to believe that flipped classrooms may enhance student learning. So there's been a lot of research supporting the flipped classroom idea. Utopia.com helps educators with the concept of the flipped classroom and how to effectively turn the classroom into a flipped class. So we had some teachers on this website give their examples of their failed attempts. And with Utopia, EduTopia, they kind of help us teachers transition from one way into the next. That is my lesson on how to understand the flip versus standard. Thanks.